Back, everyone, to another episode of the AAU Overtime Podcast. Jordan DeLuciano, as always, and joining me once again, first time since the national tournament back in March, founder and president of ESE Hockey and former NHL player, Stephen Oleksy. Stephen, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining today.
Jordan, thank you for having me as always, and greatly appreciate you having me separate from Scott today.
No Scott jumping into the middle of the interview and I don't even know. He just came out of nowhere and just berated your interview that day. No Steve Solomon for now. At least I don't know. I hope not. Hopefully doesn't barge in this time. Who knows, Steve? Who knows? I got to get him on. I've been trying to get him on the podcast. Work's tough, but another day. But today, just for you, Steve. Just for you, Steve. So, former and founder and president of ESE Hockey. What was the idea behind that? I know we talked about that at the tournament, but it's been a long time since then. New viewers, new audience this time coming into the 2023 season. So ESE Hockey, what was the idea behind it? What have you been going on this summer when it comes to ESE Hockey?
My career path was very, very unique when I was moving through youth hockey. I played AA hockey, never really took it serious. Baseball was actually my first sport. I accepted a college scholarship to go play baseball, decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I went to Lake Superior State and played 3 years there. But my time at Lake Superior State was a very, very challenging time. So I started to look at avenues outside of, I never planned to make a professional career out of playing. So I was looking at things to do and still stay involved with the sport of hockey outside of just playing. So my junior year of college, I recognized that it was tough for me as a college athlete to go home. And I'm sure a number of the AAU guys face this as well. When they go home and play in a regular senior league during the summer, they have their nice gear on and stuff like that. You essentially are putting a target on yourself, and guys play harder. And, AAU or Division I, Division III athletes, they don't want the risk of injury in the summer. They know that the serious season is coming forward. So I recognized the need for that. So what I did is I had a great infrastructure of friends, reached out to everybody. I said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a summer league strictly for pro college junior guys and guys that take it serious and have a common goal to grow and develop as players and people. Brought it together. First year we had 8 teams and then, we just celebrated 16 years last year. So, it was kind of to eliminate the nonsense, eliminate risk of injury as much as possible. And then, a good way for guys to get back together as you move through. A lot of your athletes are seeing it. You play together with guys your entire career, and then you can't always choose what college you want to play for or what junior team you want to play for. So this is a great way to kind of bring friends back together and allow them to play together. So.
Yeah, then you had a tournament, I believe, was right around the end of July, maybe beginning of August. It was upstate New York. How'd that one go? The showcase tournament. You had age groups all over the place, right? And talent levels, all different aspects, right?
Yeah, we're big. So ESE is big on the developmental side, right? So we like to spread things out. And part of what we do and part of what makes ESE so unique is allowing those younger athletes to interact with older players and pros. And I think that's very, very important in development. And every athlete has a different story. So the more older guys we can bring, around the younger guys, obviously within reason, that get a chance to tell their story, the more educated the younger groups are going to be, the more inspired the younger groups are going to be, which is also very, very important. And it allows our older guys to have a sense of purpose outside of just playing, which is awesome.
Now, did this idea to get, like you said, the younger guys interacting with the older groups, get some NHL vets in there, different levels of talent, did this idea come to you during your playing days? Like you said, baseball was your thing. Then went to hockey, like Superior State, had a great time in the NHL, won a Stanley Cup there. Was this something that was kind of on your mind, or did this kind of marinate after your playing career?
I was very fortunate to have great older people kind of take me under their wing, right? So for me, it was about me paying it forward and helping the younger guys. And then I started to recognize I was dealing with so many athletes in the summer that there are some really, really good guys that I would love to put in front of the younger groups and guys that really want to give back. And, when I look, back in my career, I had a gentleman by the name of Brian Felsner, who's, he made a career. He played a little bit in the NHL, made a career overseas, one of the most successful AAA coaches now in the Detroit area in the nation. But he was the first guy that kind of came to me. And I was, like I said, I came from college baseball. I was essentially a nobody. I didn't know the hockey landscape. I was sitting outside of a summer skate one time, and I had my Lake Superior State bag, and he's like, "Oh, Lake Superior State guy," which was, that's where he graduated from. And he's like, "Hey, do you need a ride home?" And I was like, "No, my mom's coming to get me." And he asked where I lived, and we literally lived 2 streets over from each other. And from that moment on, we used to ride to the rink together. And after my first year of pro, I had got cut 3 times. I was cut 3 times. He comes to me that summer. He's like, "Hey, listen, put your knee pads over your skate tongues, pull your visor down, change your curve, change your blade." That was the first time that anybody really took time with me and showed me, and a lot of little things that you don't know going through hockey. But the eye test is everything. I was out there with no clear tape on my socks and my tongue's hanging all over, and as he says, the half shield on top of my head like a pair of sunglasses. And for me, I really, really, really appreciated that, and I understood from that moment on. I had success that following year after I made those changes. I was smart enough to listen. But for somebody to take that time, I really took a liking to that, and I want to pay it forward after my 14 years of playing. So I think it's really, really important for everybody.
It's like those little things you mentioned when that specifically was that making that jump from college to the pros, then those little things, like you said, clear tape, the sunglass visor thing. And is there other things throughout your journey that you learned, maybe going from bantam hockey to midget or midget hockey to junior hockey, those little things that can make a difference that can also help some college athletes and kids trying to play college hockey?
Absolutely. And, we talk about, the prospect camps and the prospect series, and even guys that are a little bit younger, whether you're trying out for a AAA team or a junior team. I see it all the time. And, it's that age. We all went through it, but you're with your high school buddies and you have your flip-flops on and your tube socks up to your knees, and you have these short shorts on, and you look like you just rolled out of bed. Guys don't understand what message that's sending to a coach, right? When you look at some of these schools that are trying to select a team from, close to 200 guys or 100 guys, and they have to trim it down to 30, it's all those little things. And, you see a guy walking into the rink. I see it all the time with high school guys that are looking to play college hockey, but they're walking in eating fast food into the arena. And, and I'll grab them and I'll tell them, try to help them out. Once again, it's the little things. It's experiences that I've went through to learn. But listen, I'm not going to tell you what to eat before or after. For me, everybody operates differently. But don't walk in eating fast food. You're telling me that you're not taking it serious. Or if you come in with your hair a mess, you're telling me you just woke up. So it's a lot of small things that I like to try to help people. And it goes beyond just, on ice. It's a lot of off ice stuff that I try to teach. The on ice stuff always comes, a lot of people focus on that. But for me, it's a lot on the mental side, and then the small things that we're talking about.
Was there any piece of advice that you got when you got to the pros in the NHL? Was there one person or multiple people that helped you and guided you throughout your professional career post-college?
I had a number of people. I think one of the best things that I had was I had a really good, like I mentioned previous in the conversation, I was cut, twice. And then I ended up going out to Boise, Idaho in the East Coast League. And before that, I was playing at the lowest level pro. I went out to Boise, Idaho, and there was a gentleman out there. He was our captain by the name of Marty Flickle. And I like to tell people when I tell my story, he was Sidney Crosby before Sidney Crosby was around, and obviously at little different levels. But the way he operated, the way he went about his business, the professionalism that he brought to his game, I was lucky to be around that, and then I'd say probably the best piece of advice that I ever got was when I was playing juniors. I had a coach, Mike Stapleton, who, played in the NHL for 15 plus years. Father was an NHL great as well. And it was the first NHL guy I'd ever really been around, first NHL guy I really had as a coach. And, his whole approach was so humble, and the one-liners he had were awesome. But I had a terrible turnover to start the third period one game, and I come back to the bench, and, he comes down to me and said, "You know what, Stevie, the sun will always rise tomorrow." And for me, that was the best piece of advice, that I ever got, because it was like, you can't change it. Things are going to be okay moving forward. And that kind of put me in the mindset of, things are going to happen. good, bad, but the best thing, and I'll reference Ted Lasso because it's an unbelievable show, and there's a lot of great teaching points in there. He talks about the goldfish mentality, right? And the goldfish has a 10-second memory. And that was Mike Stapleton leading me in that direction, that like, no matter what I did, great, bad, whatever it was done, it was over, and you can't change it. And it really allowed me to focus on the present rather than the past. And it was definitely instrumental in my success.
Those lines about the sun will rise the other day, that goldfish mentality. Do you take that same the verbiage that you got when you were coming up, and you give it to the guys and the kids you see at your prospect camps, and any advice you would give to college athletes right now, let's just say in the AAU, that are freshmen coming into this league?
Yeah, enjoy it, right? And the biggest thing that I love to preach on is balance. I think balance in life and in every aspect. A lot of guys that are coming in, they're so excited to play college hockey as freshmen, and find that balance between school, athletics, and, fun, right? A lot of guys really, really struggle to find that balance, especially early on. First year, you kind of go crazy. I mean, me, for example, I played college baseball, at a community college back home, really good school, but I worked really hard in school. So the grades came a little easier at the community college. And then I went to Lake Superior State, and my first semester I'm on academic probation. I was like, what's going on? Yeah, exactly. And I dialed it in, but I didn't understand that balance, going to school and, balancing. I mean, it was a Division I college. So the commitment to sports and then the schooling, so really focus and try to find that balance. And my balance is different than yours, which is different than everybody. Some guys can, my roommate in college, he could stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning and open a book for 15 minutes before a test and ace it. Where for me, it took me 4 days of cramming and highlighting and, cheat sheets and everything like that. So you have to really focus and understand the balance of everything, because a lot of guys haven't had to navigate the schooling with moving away with, the fun part of it and the athletics, and then also what do you want? What do you want out of school? Is it to enjoy your 4 years of hockey as much as possible and nothing else matters? Is it, the balance of schooling and in hockey? So focus on that and find that balance that works for you.
You mentioned there, some guys, like, they could do nothing the day before and ace it. Then there's you, who is grinding the studying, and they barely get like the B- or the B. It has to do what you said before. The guy walks into the rink with like chicken fingers, 9 out of 10 guys, that's going to derail their performance. But then you have guys in the NHL right now, like Ovi, who drinks, I think he drinks soda like before or after the game, but it works for him. It's weird. Some guys, it comes easy, but the most of us, 9 out of 10 of us, we can't be drinking that soda. We got to be all up all night studying. For
sure. And that's another thing that I love to preach on is compare you to you, right? I can't compare myself to anybody else. I can only compare myself to yesterday. And, when you understand that, right? Like, he did drink soda, and I can tell you that there was one game we were playing in the Islanders, and I reached over the bench to grab a water bottle and I sprayed it. What is this? And it was Coca-Cola in the old water bottle. So, and there are some guys that do that, right? And for me, I was always kind of a borderline guy. So I had to kind of eliminate all those distractions, which a lot of college athletes are going to face that same predicament. Like, you have to understand what you need to eliminate and focus on to ultimately have the success that you want.
So now, going back into AAU conversation, you have a good relationship with Scott for a long time. So that obviously had a big impact of getting you involved with AAU college hockey. Anything else, any other parameters got you there, or was just the good bond you had with Scott?
The good bond was the first step, but I will tell you this right now, the whole operation at AAU, everybody involved, the professionalism with AAU, and the reasons they're doing the things they are, right? For me, I've always wanted to give back for the right reasons and to align with a group that's doing the same thing and providing experiences. I mean, we talk about college. 4 years goes by fast when you are balancing academics, athletics, having your fun. But I can tell you this right now, being a part of the national championships and being there and getting a chance to meet everybody involved, the experience that AAU provides is going to go far beyond that 4 years. And for me, they're doing things for the right reasons in the right way, which, in life and business, in hockey, it's very, very challenging to find people that have that common goal of doing things for the right reasons. So when I had the opportunity to kind of align with AAU and Scott, it was an honor to even be in the conversation.
And a couple other sponsors has also worked with you at your prospect camp, such as Verbero and Howie's. Pretty sure they had teams down there. What was it like to have their approval with ESE hockey? How long have you been working with Verbero and Howie's? I know with Max at Howie's and Andy at Verbero.
Yeah, so I actually, previous to Andy purchasing the company, I worked with Verbero. So that was that was a long while ago. Moved away from them. Obviously, having a professional like Andy, kind of steering the ship there. It was very, very exciting for me. I know AAU is very involved with them as well. So we did jerseys. We had Team Verbero this year where the only loss they took was in the championship this year. And I know those boys are looking forward to getting back after it next summer. But it's great. And once again, we talk about people doing things for the right reasons and, their social media presence and, the branding that they've been able to do for AAU athletes and other teams that they work for. That was a big draw to me, is the social media, the posting, and, they're a great group to work with from that aspect. And then obviously their quality of products is unmatched. So it was a great working experience for them. And I had a little Zamboni cooler that always made its way to the rink, and I drove that around from them, which was a big hit this summer as well.
So at these tournaments, any future plans, any goals you have in mind for these prospect camps for ESE hockey in general, Steve?
The biggest piece to the prospect camp is the educational side of it. When we talk about, the decision-making process leading into college, I shared my experience a little bit, but I chose to play college baseball and then ended up, that wasn't really for me. And I had to kind of navigate this new path. And I actually committed to play Division I and decided against that after orientation. And I went and I gambled and played a year of junior hockey. And, navigating all this is stuff that I've learned. So if I can save some people some steps, part of it is just understanding what you're really looking for in your 4 years, right? We talk about my college path, and I went to Lake Superior State, and there was courses my senior year where I had 5 or 6 kids in it. For me, that was perfect for learning purposes. I didn't want a class with 300 kids. So you have to understand yourself. You have to understand what you're looking for. And if we can be a part of that educational process and kind of lead you in the right direction, that's a main focus for us. And then also adding exposure and allowing schools to see guys that might not have been on the radar, or introducing guys to schools that they didn't previously know much about, but, it has their major and stuff they're interested in. And the hockey program's great. And the coaches are awesome. Just kind of bringing the community together is what our main focus is with the prospect camps, and giving guys an opportunity to showcase their skills, because they've worked so hard their entire lives. And we want to provide them the best chances to move forward in their athletic career, and with a focus in education.
And when you played college hockey at Lake Superior State, it was pretty much just the NCAA hockey. Now you see the other alternatives to college hockey that are all out there, including AAU college hockey. And that is something that you said coaches are coming down and seeing, and other schools are coming down to these camps and seeing, being able to give that alternative hockey option. Hey, not everyone's going to be D1 college hockey players.
Yeah, and I think that's, when we go back to ESE in the summers, and I'm dealing with younger age groups now, allowing them to have a little bit more fun within the hockey world, right? There's been so much pressure on them from such a young age, where if you don't make the NHL, you're a failure. Or if you don't make Division I, you're a failure. Well, now with alternatives that not only are great alternatives, but you get a great education, but the experience, and I'll say this, to anybody, the experience at the national championship, aside from playing in the Stanley Cup Finals, being a part of that because of what it was, then AAU national championships was the best event I've ever been to and been a part of, right? So, guys have something to look forward to, and now you're alleviating some of that pressure of, Division I, or you're a failure, or pro, you're a failure. Now you have alternatives to get a great education, great hockey, really, really good hockey. I mean, we saw it last year at the national championship. Some of those games, and you're playing in front of thousands of people, and it's a packed barn, and it's a 2-2 game. And, those were a lot of experiences I didn't get as a Division I athlete, right? So when you see that, it motivates kids from a younger age too. And now they have options moving forward where it's not, Division I or bust. There's great opportunities other than Division I or Division III.
And not just the opportunities within D1 or D3. You think mainly hockey, you might think north, northeast area, but now at AAU specifically, you got the South, which is really ramping things up in terms of its attention to ice hockey now. Instead of just thinking football, it's ice hockey is getting some more pull, like Georgia and Tampa, South Carolina, just to name a few.
Well, it's awesome. And I made my way down to Florida, post-playing career. And to see what Kyle's done with College Hockey South is amazing, and what are deemed non-traditional markets. But then you look at the programs coming through there with FAU and U of T and like you said, Georgia, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, all these schools, it's a huge draw. And if you're looking for education, great hockey, athletics in a great school, these schools fit all of that, right? And a lot of Division I schools actually miss on some of those. So it's really cool to be a part of. It's really cool to see the growth, being in Florida, which was essentially a non-traditional market previously, to see the growth in hockey and the excitement for it. When I look at, AAU games and different things like that, places are packed, and the experience is like I said previously, something that I didn't get at Division I, and guys are taking time out of the sun to come watch a game in a nice, cool rink. So it's awesome to see.
An ice rink down south is not like what, not many people think, or even like all the way out on the West Coast. But I was talking to John Camp. He was actually on the pod recently, I think, last week, second show of the year, talking about some outdoor games potentially in Georgia. You can make it work down there, and it's really growing the game. Steve, what you guys are doing at ESE Hockey, speaking of growing the game, is doing exactly that. So happy to be a part of AAU. It was good talking to you again, Steve. Thank you again for joining the podcast, man.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Jordan. So I definitely look forward to it and look forward to many more. And thank you for everything that you put into the Overtime podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate the words, and I'll probably run into you again at the national championship in March. I'll talk to you probably before then, but next time I'll see you probably be at the national championship.
Thank you.
So once again, alongside Stephen Oleksy, my name is Jordan DeLuciano for the AAU Overtime Podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next week.